Hello artists, I am Mr. McCaffrey, and this class is called Introduction to Studio Art. Alright guys, today we're going to be focusing on 2 of the 4 forms. The first one is a sphere. So we're going to walk through how to shade it one more time, and then once we're done shading it, we're going to transform it into an object by adding some additional details. Of course, the light source is going to be in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to create a strong highlight in the upper right-hand side of our sphere. The cast shadow on the ground is going to be an oval shape, which again I like to make out of 2 dots. 1 dot towards the far right corner, 1 dot towards the far left corner. Now we can begin our shading. And again, I'm going to turn my pencil on its side. I'm going to shade very carefully and very lightly, and I'm going to build up my dark values slowly. We don't want to get too dark too quickly because it could be hard to come back from that. And there we have it. A kind of lumpy, but pretty well shaded in spherical shape. Now we got to think about some spherical shapes we could turn it into. The first thing I thought of was an apple. And apples are real easy. So we'll start by adding a little tiny U shape. And then a little stem. We're going to add a few darker values and a few medium gray values and some splotches to show the texture of the apple. And then we're going to add a few lines and a little bit of shading to the stem to give that some texture. And then we have it, an apple, all drawn in a matter of moments. Okay, so I'm going to do a basketball here, and again I'm going to start just like before, shading in that spherical shape. This time though, it's going to be a bouncing basketball, so the shadow is going to be entirely on the ground. Now I have to add some dotted lines, and some curved lines, and some straight lines. Next, 3 billiard balls, I guess they're called, from pool. I'm doing 3 because they're commonly grouped in 3, and I can do a wide variety kind of easily. Ooh, this one's a spooky old eyeball. All right, let's go ahead and do a baseball. Remember, all the different sports balls have very unique textures and skin, and we need to try to capture that in our drawing. Okay, remember that the Earth, the Moon, and all of the planets are spheres. And even though they don't have a unique light source most of the time, they still need shadows and highlights and textures and values in all of these art things that we've been learning about. Okay, the other fundamental form we will be concentrating on today is the cube. Naturally, we're going to start with a square, and we're going to make that out of 4 equal straight lines. And then we're going to draw 3 diagonal lines that are pointed in the same direction, and we're going to connect those 2 with 1 vertical line and 1 horizontal line. That gives us a cube, and I think it's a good thing to practice without a ruler, but if you feel like you must use a ruler, go right ahead. Now we're going to draw the shadow, and again, the shadow of the cube should have 4 sides, just like a square has 4 sides, and the tip of it is almost always going to come to sort of a point. That's just how cube shadows work. Okay, whenever we're shading in any of these 4 basic forms, I almost always like to start with the shadow first. I think it really makes the drawing easier to picture in your mind, and I just think it's a good place to start. I also want to remind you that we need to start with our middle gray tones. We don't want to immediately start very dark because it's always easier to make something dark. It is quite difficult to make something that's dark be very light. Remember to use your eraser a lot. Erasers aren't just for mistakes. They can also be very helpful tools for you to get what you're looking for. And just continue to work your way around this cube until it looks like a cube that's been illuminated in real life. And then transform it into something cubed shaped. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and transform my cube into a box. And because I think it's fun, I'm going to make it funny. So I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to draw a regular package that has the words fragile this side up written on it. And then, of course, I'll flip my paper back over. And that fragile sign is now upside down, making my drawing very silly. Somebody's taken a fragile package and placed it upside down. Okay, there's the first one. Now you just need to do 9 more. I'm going to start with a die, which is singular for dice. Now, is this the best dice I've ever drawn in my life? Not at all. But it's acceptable, and I don't want to draw another one, so moving on. Okay, next, I think we're going to go ahead and add a little famous children's toy and get ourselves a Jack-in-the-Box. Remember, turning your paper is always okay and often very helpful, so turn your paper a whole bunch so that things are easier to think about and angle your hand in order to draw. Remember, it's not important to draw something really well, just to try your best and to get some real shadows going. Okay, now we'll draw a house. And we're going to have a whole unit on how to draw buildings using linear perspective. So for now, just concentrate on the best type of house you could draw, or if you don't feel like drawing a house, you don't have to. Alright, we're going to do 3 children's blocks stacked on top of each other. This wasn't super easy to draw, but it also wasn't all that difficult, and it was kind of fun. Spell out the word bat, and to draw some children's toys. Okay, again, if you're having a hard time with your imagination, of course, you can look up stuff on the internet or go find stuff in your house that is that shape. You all got refrigerators and TVs and things like that, and those are, of course, cube shapes. Okay, and here I'm drawing a toolbox, but whoops, I was not paying attention to the angle of my camera, and you can't really see my last couple drawings, so skip. Okay, that's it. Officially, you got to draw 20 things today. 10 cubes and 10 spheres. Remember, you can look them up if the ones that I've just drawn right here are not ones you want to draw.
Does my picture have to look like your picture?
No, definitely not. I want your art to be about you and to look like you.
Can my picture look like your picture?
Yes, of course. I'm an art teacher. You can absolutely copy what I've done.
What if my drawing isn't perfect? What if I'm terrible at art?
Well, no drawing is ever perfect, so we don't have to worry about that. What we do have to worry about is improving on our past performance.
Do I have to take a picture of this when I'm done?
Yes. Every single time you complete an assignment in this class, you must photograph it and turn it in on Google Classroom. Every single time. Whoa! You did it! You finished! All you have to do now is take a picture of your work and turn it in on Google Classroom.